Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. I had just seen Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2. And for some odd reason, I don't know why, but I can't help but talk like an Englishman. Excuse me. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Well, anyway, I just seen the movie, and I have to say something about it. If it wasn't for the second half of this film, I wouldn't have liked it. The thing is that we're back with, of course, the team, and this is the final bout with Voldemort and whatnot. And well, the funny thing is that this movie really kind of starts out really in a rush. There are a few scenes that we do capture within 3D that is actually really well done. But then, of course, the movie kind of keeps on continuously going. Like it actually seems to act as if we have to end this or something. So for the first half of the film, scenes kind of within like action and special effects kind of get a little rushed. But until like the second half of the film, I think when we get the tears of Professor Snape and we wind up, looking in the memories of him, is when the movie starts actually getting at, kind of an emotional center, and it starts being paced out pretty decently. And I liked that. And then I started really getting into the film, and I started really liking it. I thought that the film kind of got a little bit overwhelmed by special effects a little bit, but even though that the special effects are really good, by the way, I really did like them because they seem to blend into the environment so well. But I think it was overwrought with special effects because I kind of paid attention more to them than kind of the interaction of characters. I mean, in the first one, at least we had some interaction within characters. It was just too slow. It just didn't move on quick enough. But the special effects, even in the first part, but even in this part as well, really worked very well. Really worked very well. They blend into the environment very well. It was just awesome. I thought that this kind of special effects within the Deathly Hallows 1 and 2 were really well done. Much better than the rest of the series. So I have to give kind of a recommendation of that. I mean, it's really good. As far as anything else, being that the first half of the movie was so rushed is where it kind of brings this kind of movie down too much. And I thought that we weren't really concentrating too much upon these particular characters, but I think that the movie was kind of almost in some ways expecting us to fall into these characters because we already knew them from many other different particular Harry Potter films. So they were kind of depending upon, really appealing to the fans instead of people like me, who's not really a Harry Potter kind of, aficionado or whatever. And I think that that's where it kind of goes bad. But that's usually what happens with the Harry Potter series. They just kind of depend more upon the people who are kind of Harry Potter fans than they kind of depend upon people who just get into have just got into this stuff and so on. So, but as far as anything else, the second half of the film is actually just really in some ways wonderful. I did enjoy it because I was able to concentrate on certain particular kind of things. But I have to actually give it to David Yates because there is an interesting thing. There's an interesting thing here. He kind of seems to have some sort of like break where he uses some sort of like special effects to try to tell a story in kind of like almost the middle of his film. I mean, if you wind up looking, or at least the Deathly Hallows seemed to, when he directed the Deathly Hallows. I'm not sure about the other Harry Potter films, but within the Deathly Hallows, he seems to break within this kind of story that we wind up learning to advance the, to advance the story itself. Within Deathly Hallows Part 1, we're given like this kind of special effects with the shadows and such that was really extreme. I just really loved that. Where we were kind of taken to know what the Deathly Hallows were. And I just thought that was actually awesome. But I liked that special effect and that break time between it, because it just really got me kind of motivated to even really pay attention more to the story when it was really dragging. Part 2 actually does the same kind of thing, where we wind up going into kind of Snape's memories, and we wind up looking at him, and it gets really, in some ways, he can actually really capture this particular sense of emotion just within a few particular types of images, and it works very well, and I loved that sequence. And for some odd reason, David Yates, who directed this film, and I think he directed the few other Harry Potters, but when he directed this film, he really did very well in that part, and I have to commend him for that. I mean, he really did very well, especially in also grabbing my interest in to describe the Deathly Hallows within that shadow sequence. All in all, because the first half of this film was really very slow, I have to actually kind of decline the film a little bit. I mean, it's not the greatest film in the world, but the acting is pretty solid, and I do really recommend it, and it was very entertaining as a film. So I do give it thumbs up, and I do give it about 3.5 stars. It doesn't reach that 4-star range, but I'd say 3.5 is pretty good, because most of the Harry Potter that I actually do see, all the Harry Potter films are recommendable, okay? But most of them seem to fall, to me, in the range of 3.5 stars. They're entertaining, but they just don't reach that kind of excellent, great, wonderful, epic kind of nature. Somehow, they kind of falter in that quite a bit. But the one thing is, though, I will have to commend for Harry Potter, and even, all the people who were involved in this, within this process, no matter who it was. I have to give them props for basically making at least a decent and entertaining series based upon books. So I would actually give it kind of almost, a second place in that sense, in book adaptation into movies. The first would, of course, be Lord of the Rings, but this would be pretty much number 2 in that, because they just really did so well within really paying attention to, kind of the imagery of Hogwarts and such. So I have to really give them kind of, thumbs up for that. So, I mean, it definitely beats Narnia, and also definitely beats Twilight, so in book adaptations. But I guess that's pretty much it. I do recommend the film. I do recommend you seeing it, and if you have enough money to see it in 3D, I do recommend seeing it in 3D. There are some really good images in it that are really meant for 3D. But as the movie progressed, you're probably not going to pay attention to the rest. But that usually happens with 3D. But as far as anything else, 3.5 stars out of 5. And I thank you for your time, man. Have a nice day.